Good morning. I am out here in the woods again with the cicadas and the crows and the mosquitoes. This is the quietest place I could find. And I want to tell you a little story about how I came to be a Christian. And then I'll sing a song that goes along with that. I was 8 years old, and my family had gone to a Christian camp up in Aroostook County in the potato fields. And different preachers would take turns bringing sermons in the tabernacle at certain services, maybe like 3 times a day, I guess. Well, the pastor that was speaking that weekend was our own pastor from Swans Island, Ralph Jordan, and his wife's name is Catherine, and they had 2 children that became really good friends of mine and my brother's. So I was there playing around with a friend, and we lost track of time for the evening service, which started, I think, at 6. And it was still daylight out. And my friend and I, a little girl named Debbie that I had met there, were playing in a garden area. It was a squared off place behind a building, and it was a pretty area. So we were playing as kids do, and we heard singing coming from the tabernacle. And so we realized that we were late, and our parents would wonder where we were. So like good little girls, we went running as fast as we could to the tabernacle, and we entered the building, and it was crowded, and we didn't want to try to find our parents at that point. So we just sat on a bench at the back. Well, I don't remember what was said, actually, but I do know, I always look back to that time as a time when it hit me that salvation was something that needed to be decided by an individual, and that Jesus wanted a relationship with us. God wanted a relationship through his son Jesus. A lot of doctrine here. But my little heart grasped it for the first time. I knew there was nothing that my mom and dad could do. It wasn't about going to church. It wasn't about filling out your Sunday school papers every day, every Sunday. It wasn't about trying to be a good little girl. It was that I was a sinner and needed salvation for myself. So at the end of that sermon, I was crying, and at the invitation, I walked forward as the old-time altar call, like many of you have probably seen. If you are not in the church, maybe you've seen it on programs on television of Billy Graham and the altar calls they would give. Well, this was very small scale. So I walked down by myself, and I remembered there were others there, a few others, and then the pastor prayed for us at the end, and I turned around, and my parents, my whole family was there to hug me and rejoice with me. Well, the next day, they had a baptism, and baptism was not the time of salvation. It was a symbol of what had happened in the heart, that I was washed from sin and raised to newness of life. I always remembered that as my time. Even though, you can say, well, you were just indoctrinated as a kid and you just couldn't get away from it. Well, no, I couldn't get away from the Lord. I knew he was in me. And even through high school, went through some difficult questioning times, and I just always came back to it. I knew the Lord was mine, and I was his, and he was holding me, and I needed to make choices that went along with what I believed and live my life for him. Well, I went on to college, Christian college, met my husband, got married, had kids. Fast forward 50 years later from that time. I was living in a town nearby, and I got a call from that pastor's wife. Now, he had passed away, and she was going through his things, and she had found something that she thought would be of interest to me, and she sent it to me. And you can bet it was very interesting and precious to me. It was my baptismal certificate that somehow had gotten lost in the shuffle and was never sent to me. And along with it was a little black and white photo of me being baptized that next day in the river. That came at such a precious time to me, an important time. It was a God hug. It was a time when I needed some comfort. My parents had passed away. So I always look back to that. Now, here's the song I want to sing. It's called "Oh Happy Day." Often at baptisms, whether it was in the ocean or in a river like mine was, people would sing this. They would gather around. I remember the comforting thing of my mother waiting there with a towel or a warm blanket to wrap me in after the baptism. And everybody would sing. As soon as you come out of the water, everybody would sing. And this is one of the songs that I remember. Oh, happy day that fixed my choice on thee, my Savior and my God. Well, may this glowing heart rejoice and tell its raptures all abroad. Happy day, when Jesus washed my sins away. He taught me how to watch and pray and live rejoicing every day. Happy day, when Jesus washed my sins away. I hope you all can say that you have a happy day like that to look back on, like I do. Have a good one.